Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode number 3 of the History Tech English podcast. And welcome. Today is an amazing day, and today um, I'm going to be talking about the German history, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm here. I just uploaded a podcast in Hindi, so if you're a Hindi speaker, you might want to check that out. But one of the things is that I was really sleepy while doing that, so I'm gonna try to make sure that this episode is not that sleepy. And as you can see, I'm gonna be not as you can see, as you can hear, I'm going to be talking about German history uncut as a reminder to the people who have never watched any of my previous episodes of this podcast. Basically, I'm just going to be talking about historical topics and in an uncut way and fashion. And I'm going to taking different topics and then talk about it. So yeah. So so we have German history here, right? So Germany's history. I have like a full what do you say I have a 15-page Samsung Notes on my phone that literally has the entirety of German history in a gist. So I'm just gonna be discuss that and give my opinions on it and just have fun basically. So yeah. So if I can see here, Germany's history starts with emerging of the Germanic tribes. I mean, if you are familiar with German's history, you are very or if you're familiar with ancient history, then you're very much familiar with the Romans and the Germanic tribes and the tensions between them, right? So the Germanic tribes basically lived in northern Germany. I mean, in the whole Germanic lands, and um, what do you say? They moved from Scandinavia to the Germanic lands in 6th century BCE. So now I have a question where I have a question right away. If the Germans, like people living today, are they German or are they Scandinavian? I have a question in my mind. And when you think about British history, the Anglo Saxons came from the Germanic tribes. So what does it mean to be the Germanic tribes? That is a question that I do not really know. So I do not really have the answer to. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, they were pagans and they eventually Christianized. You can see in history that most of the Germans and the Anglo Saxons, they were all pagans until until they were Christianized. So yeah, in the 700s, 500s, 600s, something like that. So yeah. Um, the Germanic people had a lot of tension with the Romans. So basically, uh, the contact between them were military expeditions, and they were often referred to as barbarians by the Romans, the Germanic tribes. And now, talking about Emperor Augustus. When Emperor Augustus was in power, I mean, in Rome, he wanted to include the Germanic tribes into the Roman Empire, which had disastrous consequences in the year 980, with several Roman defeats, which led to an end of Emperor Augustus' reign. That is how deadly the Germanic tribes were. So, the Romans abandoned any hope of defeating the Germanic tribes and built fortifications on the rivers of Rhine and the Danube, establishing cities like Cologne, Mainz, and Regensburg. These are prominent German cities that were actually established by the Romans uh, uh, as fortifications against the Germanic tribes. And the Germanic tribes followed a pagan religion and worshipped gods like Thor and Odin, right? So we have Thor, everyone knows Thor from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor, that is the inspiration for Thor comes from these gods that were worshipped by the Germanic tribes, like Thor and Odin. So life remained unchanged till the 4th century when the Romans and the Germanic tribes were attacked by the Huns. Now, what I know about the Huns is that no one really knows what the Huns were, right? No one knows who the Huns were, but they came from Central Asia. They were good archers and they were on horseback all the time. And they raided city from city, town after town. They raided it, pillaged it. So that is how they functioned. And they were even more deadlier than the Germanic tribes. The Huns then forced the Germanic tribes to go westward. And uh, uh, then the western part of the Roman Empire collapsed because of this Germanic migration, which many tribes were there. I mean, we are saying Germanic tribes, which includes many tribes, right? So there are the Visigoths, the Burgundians, the Anglos, the Saxons, the Franks, the Jutes. They are all part of a larger Germanic tribe. So now here's where the interesting part of history comes in. Western part of present-day Germany was ruled by the Franks. King Clovis the First, and eastern part of the day Germany saw Slavic migration leading to contrasting societies between 5th and 8th century. It was the Frankish kingdom that conquered the Germanic tribes of Western and Central Europe and converted them into Christianity. This is how the things goes. Under King Charlemagne, now Charlemagne is a very historical figure. You know, people say he is the like the father of Europe or something like that. Is what I've heard. So so the King Charlemagne launched a brutal 13-year campaign against the Saxons. He was crowned Emperor of the Romans as a way to continue Roman legacy by Pope Leo III on Christmas Day in the year 800 AD. Right. So he was crowned as the Holy Roman Emperor in 800 AD on Christmas Day, 25th December. And that is so okay, I'm going to be honest, that sounds so epic. Like if that actually happened, that's pretty cool and sounds epic because you can just see it's Christmas Day, 880, the start of the century, and then you have Charlemagne being crowned as the Holy Roman Emperor. So that really sets a mood and a scene. But anyways, uh, he's also a brutal ruler. You know, a brutal 13-year campaign with the Saxons against the Saxons. Yeah. The Frankish kingdom was divided into three parts by Charlemagne's three sons into West Francia, Carolingian Empire, and East Francia. West Francia became France and East Francia became Germany. So as you can see, uh, the Frankish kingdom of King Charlemagne being divided into three parts, the Carolingian Empire eventually died out, and the West Francia became France, East Francia became Germany, and then under the ruler of East Francia, Germany, the Ottonian dynasty prevailed. Otto the Great defeated Italy and was crowned the Holy Roman Emperor in 962 AD. And obviously, I'm explaining all of this history in just like a gist in a simplified manner, not oversimplified, but a simplified manner because it is a bit more complicated than what I am saying. But this is just a German history in like in a few bits, in a few gist, like and in 30 minutes, basically trying to do it in 30 minutes. Um, Uh, the lands of the Holy Roman Empire, Germany remained politically fragmented and became a challenge to unite the German princes of each German district to the cause of the emperor. Despite this political disunity, the Germans went on to join Christian crusades and formed a university in 1386. So that is amazing. A university in 1386, I think, in Germany, I think. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyways, at the dawn of the 16th century, the Holy Roman Empire or the Germany went into a period of political consolidation, but this was undone quickly by the Protestant revelation by Martin Luther in 1517, denouncing Catholic beliefs and calling for reform. Um, the divide of Catholic and Protestant became a reason for civil war in Germany for decades, and and divided Germany into North Prussia and South Austro-Hungarian Empire. So you can see, so King Charlemagne's empire divided into three parts, and then the East Francia divided into two parts. So that's how it became. Now, in under Charles V, a staunch Catholic won a temporary victory over the Protestant princes, but could not crush them entirely in 1547. In 1555, at the Peace of Augsburg, it was decided that each German prince would have the right to choose either of the two faiths in his kingdom. The religious tensions remained and exploded in 1618 with the outbreak of the 30 Years' War. By 1648, around 4 million to 8 million Germans had died or perished. At the Peace of Westphalia in 1648, the German state decided to continue the decentralized structure of the Holy Roman Empire. By the end of the 17th century, Germany was divided into many kingdoms, cities, dukedoms, and principalities, two of them emerging as rivals: Prussia and the Austro Hungarian Empire. Uh, Prussia was based in Berlin and the Habsburg dynasty in Vienna, right? During the 18th century, Prussia became a military powerhouse under King Frederick the Great and fought many wars, resulting in Prussian victory. I've heard a lot of um, I have heard a lot of things about Frederick the Great and how he was his father was pretty brutal, and uh, he um, he was a misogynist. Frederick the Great was a misogynist, and uh, uh, he was also an atheist. There's what I've heard, Frederick the Great. Um, and we have the three Silesian Wars. The first Silesian War between 1740 to 1742, the second Silesian War 1744 to 1745, the third Silesian War 1756 to 1763. So Russia participated in the 7 Years' War, a conflict between the British and the French, siding with the British. So you can see there have been Silesian Wars, which resulted in Prussian victory, and then we have the 7 Years' War, which also resulted in Prussian victory. Uh, and in 19th century, we have the Napoleonic Wars. Then we have the Prussian king joining the coalition against Napoleon. Obviously, he got beaten pretty bad at the start by Napoleon, but eventually they won, right? Um, it resulted in eventual Prussian victory, but the effective nationalism was still present and a new German confederation. Okay, I mean, I didn't know what I just wrote here. A new German confederation. What does that mean? I have no idea. Don't ask me. The Holy Roman Empire, a legacy continued by Austrian-Hungarian Empire, was dissolved by Napoleon. King of Austrian-Hungarian Empire had a reality check that the 1,000-year reign of the Holy Roman Empire had to end, and it uh, it was dissolved by Napoleon. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't dissolved by Napoleon due to Napoleon's actions. Austro-Hungarian Empire, the king of Austro-Hungary, uh, formally declared that the Holy Roman Empire has been dissolved, and the national revolutions of 1848 and 1849 were suppressed by the German monarch. Germany loses the first Schleswig War to Denmark. In 1862, Otto von Bismarck becomes Prime Minister of Prussia, employing blood and iron to achieve a German unification through military strength and strategic alliances. Germany wins the Second Schleswig War on Denmark in 1864, which is the Schleswig is a region. If you look at the map, Schleswig is a region that is between Denmark and Germany, and because of these Schleswig wars, Schleswig area still is under German control. It is under the Germany. So yeah. Under Ottoman Bismarck in 1884, the German colonial empire was started. Germany was very late in the colonial expansion. I think probably the late person in the club in the European sphere, was Germany. Kaiser Wilhelm II was keen for Germany to expand its colonial holdings. The colonies revolted against their German superiors but were brutally crushed. The Germany colonies were Cameroon, Tanzania, Togo, Namibia, North something. I have no idea what I written here. New Papua New Guinea, and some islands in the Pacific. I don't know what islands, what they were, but Germany was a yeah. I already told that Germany was a latecomer to to the colonial rule, but yeah, in 1914, I just said 1914, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. Like 1914, you know what I'm talking about. Kaiser Wilhelm II starts is part of the World War I. So this is very interesting, in German history. I mean, I just brushed over entire German history in literally 15 minutes, 16 minutes. And I mean, let's just take a breather. I mean, how was World War I started? The Austro-Hungarian king, Crown Prince Archduke Franz Ferdinand is assassinated by some Serbs in Sarajevo, and he is and Serbia, and because of this, Austrian-Hungarian king declares war on Serbia. Serbia is friends with Russia, and Russia is friends with France, but Austro-Hungarian Empire is friends with Germany, and the France and Britain have a kind of okayish alliance. Um, so so that is how World War I started. But it was mainly in Europe that the World War I was there. Its allies being, and also not to mention the Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire. And obviously Germany was defeated. You have the Battle of Verdun. Well, literally, I've heard you have to hear about the Battle of Verdun, where literally like 1 million French, I think around 1 to half a million French soldiers were killed in that one single day. The Battle of Verdun. That is absolutely insane. And it was due to artillery by the Germans. You know, they were just, and it was like explosion after explosion, and left soldiers shell shocked in that area, who were there. Yeah, like, can you imagine like a firecracker, but 10 times louder, and that firecracker is exploding every next second, like boom, 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 boom. That is, and that for like literally 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. Now that is what you call absolute insanity. But that happened in World War I, and it was a very the trench warfare is absolutely insane. I think All Quiet on the Western Front is a pretty good movie to display how World War I was. So yeah, and then we have the Treaty of Versailles, the infamous Treaty of Versailles, which became a triggering point for a trigger point for World War II. So the Treaty of Versailles in 1918 was a big blow and subject of mass embarrassment and shame to Germany and Germans, and became the leading cause of the nationalistic parties like the Red People. I'm not gonna name them, but you guys already know what I'm talking about. The Red People came into power, and the Weimar Republic succeeding was disliked by the Germans, and the Great Depression was pretty terrible, and we have the with their red people with their black symbols going and initiating World War II with the mustache man in the forefront of all of this. The mustache man became a dictator. So I'm not gonna because I know YouTube will not allow this. So I'm just gonna give you hints, but I guess you guys know the person in Germany who started World War II. Just get the hint, he rose and promised a greater Germany, and he was elected as chancellor in 1933 in Germany, and he invaded Czechoslovakia in 1939 and established the Greater Germany. And 1st September 1939, uh, the German invasion of Poland jointly participated by the Soviet invasion of Poland, and France and Britain declared war on Germany. Hitler used a maneuver. Okay, I should have not said that name. I hope this video does not get strike down because of what I just said. Mustache Man used a maneuvering method called uh, called a speedy maneuver. I don't know how much I can say. A speedy maneuver, which everyone knows, that used to defeat France and establish the rule in France, Netherlands, and Belgium, and 6 million. Uh, Everyone knows about the Holocaust. 6 million Jews you know, were oofed, I should say. And then the Great Invasion of Soviet Union, and then they were at the gates of Moscow, from gates of Moscow to all the way to the gates of Berlin, and in the Cold War, Germany was split into two, and then we have Germany today. That was a speed. You get. I guess you can say BLITZKRIEG. This German history. It is only 21 minutes. We have 10 more minutes, and this 10 more minutes, I'm just gonna talk. Chill. I'm just gonna chill. I have been talking about German history for like literally only 21 minutes, and we have literally covered everything. But as I like to say, this was like things are more complicated than what I just said, but like, I mean, I just wanted to say all of this because I have done research on German history and I made this, so I wanted you guys to be informed of this. But the chances are that you might already know a lot already. If you are watching this podcast, probably already have a lot of knowledge on history. But um but I guess this uh, but I hope I provide something extra, even if you are a good person. Like, if you know history, then um, I provided something more better to your table. I mean, okay, how do I say this? I mean, okay, like, even if you're a good you're like a history, like, if you're interested in history and you know a lot of what I just said, but I hope that I still provided something extra to your knowledge. That is what I was actually trying to say. So yeah, and I like to say now. Let's just talk about this. So one interesting thing is that King Charlemagne, uh, he was a pretty uh, he ruled an empire, basically the Frankish Empire, but it was divided into by his three sons. So that is why a democracy is like a more better option, like, than a dictatorship or a monarchy, not because of its moral reasons. The moral reasons are always there, but because if you have a dictatorship, what is going to happen after when the dictator has died? How is he going to be succeeded? And when you have like a democracy, like, the people decide and the people are always going to be there. you know the local people are always going to be there. So as in case of King Charlemagne, he was a monarchy. So his kingdom was divided into three parts because of his three sons, and that is the problem, right? If you want to maintain the Frankish Empire, then, I mean, obviously we're talking about 800 AD. Like, there's no concept of democracy there. But if you want something to last for more time, then a democracy is much better, or a system of democracy. Like the Romans. The Romans were not a democracy, but they had a system. They had a system where the Roman Empire could flourish for like the past. The Roman Empire, like, uh was able to exist for 1000 years. Why? Because they were not a monarchy or a dictatorship. They had a system similar to democracy. It was not democracy, but similar to that, which allowed the people of Rome, the people of the Roman Empire, to become consuls, and and the people were always going to be there. So the Roman Empire was always going to be there for the next 1000 years. But obviously, when an empire becomes great, it always has its decline. It's the law of nature. If anything is created, it will always eventually be destroyed. That's the law of nature. But we can just hope that we are in the peak, you know. But anyways, we are getting a little too philosophical here. But so yeah, um, this is episode 3 of the History Tech English podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me, if you are watching this video and you're still watching, still listening, then I hope that you enjoyed it, and please give feedback in the comments as what you want to see, like which part of history do you want me to talk about, to do research on and then talk about it. So that is what I would like you guys to comment on. And we are 25 minutes in, so you can just chill. I was just speed running through history. Now we can just chill. And uh, the Germanic tribes are very interesting because there were many tribes. There were many tribes, and they were uh, now. This is where I have no idea what is the line between Germanic tribes and the Celtic tribes. That line is not there for me. But I guess every day we're just learning history, right? Uh, Day by day, just learn more history, get to know about more countries, and that will be better. Uh, so yeah, and previously on this channel, previously on this podcast, English podcast, I I uploaded Napoleon's early life. So you next episode, you might get to see Napoleon's career, Napoleon's career, early career, and then later his conquest, and then his decline. All of that you can get to, you might get to see all of that. So yeah, you are 27 minutes in, and I would like you guys to make sure to subscribe and like and share to this channel, and tell me how you guys feel about this. Um and yeah, I think this is a good point, a good time to wrap things up. And I like guys to subscribe and like the video, because it boosts the channel and gives me motivation to continue uploading videos and continue this series where we talk about history. I really like history, and I always hope that with these videos, not only that my interests are being fulfilled, but your uh, that you are learning something new every day in this by listening to my podcast. Like, learning something new every day is what I hope for. And yeah, that is it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you episode 4 tomorrow. So make sure to look out for that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.